So, we've started something new, have we? Before we begin, thank you very much to Razorgeist for pitching in over on Ko-fi. Thank you very much for contributing to the channel directly. It does help out a lot. Thank you very much. You are starting a streak again, and I saw someone in the comments going like, hey, you know what would be funny? Let's do a streak again. You already did a year's worth of streaks over on Patreon. I can't stop you, but I can also tell you, like, we're doing fine here. We don't need everyone pitching in. It's your call. But it feels weird to be doing this again. I have a backlog now. So you'll excuse me if I have a few other shout-outs that we'll get to in the following day's videos. But I do want to make sure that anyone who does pitch in at least gets a thank you. And I do thank you for the warm messages that come in on Ko-fi as well. So, today, for starters, if you hear thunder and rumbling, it is a very stormy day here in Florida. So, excuse if there's some background noise. But today we are going to be talking about the universal experiences of Transformer fans. Specifically, those things that we all do. We don't really talk about it, but the truth is most Transformer fans do these things, and it's one of those little things that kind of bring us together in a weird way. We all have these like very similar experiences. We have these same idiosyncrasies that this franchise in particular kind of lends itself to, and a lot of it is standard stuff. You know, there's a lot of it that is just like toy collecting in general, and then there's some stuff that's exclusive to Transformers. So we're going to touch on a little bit of that. We'll start easy. We'll start easy because we all have that one go-to figure. All of us watching, all of you watching, and all of me doing this, we all have that go-to figure that if we're just in the mood to mess with a Transformer, or we just have one favorite in particular, that's the one we go to. It might not even be a favorite character. You know, for me, it's Titan's Return Top Spin. Getting this recently in the Wreckers Diaclone color scheme, I am thrilled to have another copy of that mold in my life that I can goof with now. And here's the thing, like, I don't really care about Top Spin as a character. Truth is, he's barely a character since he's mostly just seen in the Wreckers fictions. But I had one as a kid. That gives me some slight connection to it, but I would never call it a favorite. You know, unless you're talking about what's one of your favorite deluxe molds of the last 10 years. It's probably going to be Top Spin. And it's just because the transformation of it and just the feel of the toy clicks with me in a really big way. For a lot of you out there, that go-to figure that you just want to pick up and mess with from time to time might not even be a favorite character, might not be one you have a particular attachment to. It's just the one that clicks with you in this special way that you can't quite get out of any of the others. And we've all got that one, right? Likewise, when it comes to the molds themselves, we always have that one mold that you're going to get. You know, it's just the one that, like, no matter what it is, no matter what they recolor it or retool it into, you just have this attachment to that mold for whatever reason or another. Maybe it was your first Transformer, maybe it was based on your favorite character, maybe it's just the way that Transformer is made and how it looks as all of these different recolors and retools. But you have that one that you're always going to pick up. For me, it was Energon Sharkticon. You know, I loved every little iteration of that toy. I have the Sharkticons and the Skybite from BotCon 2010. I have the Axelon repaint that they did in Japan. Every time I think about this toy, I think about my friend who was talking to me during Energon being out on the shelves and telling me, yeah, it looks cool, but I'm going to wait for it to be in a less garish color scheme. Well, you had to wait about 8 years. Because I would still qualify the BotCon repaints as garish. But, yeah, like this toy, this mold, I don't know what was about this mold, but it couldn't do wrong for me. Like, I was happy to have every iteration of this mold I ever got. And there's other molds like that, but this is that one where I'm like, if they ever, for whatever reason, dig that mold out and do something else weird with it, oh, we have a collab with Ninja Turtles that needs a shredder. This one kind of looks like a shredder. Let's dig that one out. I would still buy it again. I absolutely would. And now some customizer has to find this mold and do it as a shredder for all those collab Ninja Turtles that we have. Likewise, we also might have that one repaint, you know? So, for instance, a Secret could come out. I don't need every version of it. But if Skywarp happens, Skywarp will be bought. You know, and that goes to a favorite character or a favorite color scheme, but we all have one. We all have that one that we're going to get regardless, every single time, regardless of the mold that it is. You know, and whether that is just an attachment to the character, the color scheme, whatever, you know, if it's done in that black with purple, I'm getting it, you know? Now, that's generic stuff. Let's talk about something that is exclusive to Transformer fans, something that you and I, we all do, even though it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do it. Especially right now, it's kind of relevant. When you have a combiner coming out a piece at a time, and you know, usually it's like an arm and it's a leg or coming first. But when that torso comes out, the first thing you do out of the box, you combine it. You combine whatever you've got lying around just to see what it looks like so far and just to get some idea of exactly what it's going to be. Okay, fine, it's only got one leg, you know? It can't possibly stand up. It's not ready to be in a display yet. But you know what? I wanted to see what it's going to look like. I want to have an idea of what I'm putting so much money into, right? So we all do that. We all do that, you know, especially right now, everyone's going to be getting their torsos for Superion and Devastator. You're all going to do exactly what's on this screen. You're going to combine them as much as you possibly can. I have seen this done with other types of combiners where like the head isn't even out yet, but we're just going to combine it, get as close as we can. It's funny because we all kind of do it, you know? Now, a lot of these like universal experiences with collecting in general, but Transformers especially, there's a lot of the buying process. A lot of what we do as these idiosyncrasies that we all kind of have in common is things that we do upon buying a toy. Both the before we buy it and the after is almost like a ritual that we all go through. And we all kind of do the same things. For instance, you only have one store in your area that's any good. Oh, sure, you've got multiple Targets, multiple Walmarts. You might even have like, you know, some offbeat place that gets in your stuff. Like you might have a local toy shop, like the one that I'm sitting in right now, that gets brand new product on the shelves. Maybe you have that, you know, and maybe that is going to be that. Maybe that's your source of new toys. But regardless, usually most of us only have that one store that is any good in our area. For me, I know there is one Walmart I could drive to, and unfortunately it's the closest one usually, that is going to suck every single time. I have zero hope of finding anything there, and I will stop in maybe every couple months if I'm in the area. You know, it's not a go-to place. On the other hand, I've got a Target that seems to get things in before any of the others in the area. So if I go to that one, that's probably where I'm going to find anything new. And then I have, you know, those little middle of the road, like, but really only that one. We all have that one that we trust that is worth going out of the way for. Now, granted, these days it's a complete crapshoot, right? With the way distribution is messed up across the board for toys right now, Transformers especially, any of these stores are liable to get in something new at any moment. Any of them are liable to be complete dumps. You know, like I think it was just a couple months ago, my Target finally cleared out the last of its Legacy Evolution toys. That poor Shadow Striker just hanging there forever. But we all usually have that one store that we will trust and check above all else. And the others, if I'm in the area. Or if there's something in particular I'm after, I'll go to the other ones just to see if they have it instead. But usually we only have the one we like. When you go to a store, no matter what you currently have in your collection, no matter what is currently out, and even if you've been to that store very recently, you go to the toy section. You do. You just do. You have to. If it's a store you're going to and they have a toy section, you have to check. It could be a grocery store. I know people with grocery stores that still get in brand new stuff. You know, like I had a friend who actually spotted like the brand new EarthSpark hashtag at his local grocery store, at a Kroger. You know, so it could be anywhere at any time, you know, even if you're at like a Ross or like a secondhand, you know, like a liquidation store, maybe their toy section might have some hidden treasure. You know, there's people who found masterpiece toys at Ross and got super cheap deals on them as a result, you know, and you never know. Like they could have put something out after I left yesterday. Like I don't care that I was at this Walmart yesterday. They might have put something out this morning. You have to check every single time, because you never know. You're looking at the guy who has the TFW news credit for the first sighting of the Sonic collab set. I wasn't expecting to actually be able to say that. You're telling me out of every sightings thread, 50 states worth of sightings threads, I'm the one? Because I just happened to get there quick. I happen to be there at the right time. So you never know. So you have to check no matter what. When you are checking, when you are going through this toy section, let's say they have something that you're actually after. They have a toy that you actually want, okay? And that's pretty refreshing these days. But let's say they do. They just restocked. They got a fresh wall of Transformers. You look for the best one out of all of them, right? You do. Look, most of us get toys online these days. We have no control over what the look of the toy is going to be. But for one reason or another, if you have multiple available to you, why not? Why not flip through the pegs hanging on the, like, why not flip through the cards hanging off the peg? And why not just take the best looking one they have? Do you want to take the one that's up front? Yeah, it's the first one you grab, but the Autobot symbol's a little off center. There's some overspray around here. It's like, no, let's see. Let's see if this one's like, okay, overspray on this one's fine, but the face is a little messed up. Okay, well now I gotta debate A or B, A or B, A or B. Oh, they have a third. Okay, the third one looks good. You take the third one. And sometimes it's as simple as checking to see if the whole thing is there. In the days when you could see the accessories, or if you're in a toy line where you can see them, that's always nice to have. But if you've got more than one there, why not check to see if you're walking out of the store with the best one? You know, it's terrible to get home, open up a toy and go, oh, I didn't realize that paint was, that's going to distract me from now. That's going to distract me forever. Don't do it. Look through them, you know, and we all kind of do it. At least everyone I know kind of does it. So, maybe not totally universal, but yeah, more common than you think. Now, when we get this toy home, every single one of us has our preferred method of opening. I don't care what it is. You've got some kind of tool for the job, because nobody really wants to deal with those little plastic bands, and I don't want to start pulling my toy apart trying to just rip the thing out of the box. Sure, there are the cavemen among us who will just take the cardboard and just rip and tear like it's Doom Guy, you know? But most of us, we have the go-to tool that doesn't leave our desk. It's right there, ready to go as soon as we have a brand new figure. For me, it is the trusty X-Acto knife. This is the tried and true tool for opening up a brand new toy for a lot of collectors, especially going back to the days of like the carded figures with bubble packaging, because a lot of us back then wanted to preserve as much of the packaging as we could, or at the very least the card backs, because you still had fun things on those, like biographies, cross sells, things that made the packaging more interesting. You didn't just have a bunch of legal jargon in 6 languages. So this was the tool. This was the tool that could get you as much of that card as you could this was the one thing that you trusted to actually carve that bubble free of the packaging. You couldn't always, like, unless you were like a whiz with a heat gun, you were not going to get that thing off any other way. So you just carefully slice it as close as you could to the card. Just take that X-Acto knife all the way around. Don't cut it the way I am, because that's going toward my hand. But you shave it as close as you can to get as much of that plastic off of that card so it's as flat in your collection as possible. If you got this cut any thinner and closer, you'd have to be named Norelco. You want it to be as flush as possible, so when you stack them all up, they all fit nice and nothing's coming undone and nothing's scratching the ones that are being laid on top of it. You know, we all have those tools. I still keep an X-Acto knife on my desk, ready to go at any time. I also keep cuticle scissors. That's the go-to for those little plastic bands they hold the toy in with now. Just like, because they got that curve. I like that curve to kind of get around and into like the little pockets where there's enough of a gap. We've all got a tool. All of us. Here's one for you. When you get that toy out of the packaging, the first thing you do, you hit that pose. Now, that pose is different for everybody. Maybe you want to see if it can do the superhero landing. Maybe you want to see if it can dab. You know, but you will have that pose you want to see if it can do. For me, I want to see if it can do a pose kind of like what you see on screen here. My go-to pose is usually a demonstration of all of the articulation. I want to see right out of the packaging how good can I pose this thing and how stable is it when I stand him like this. And it's always in some like crazy like kinetic action pose thing. You know, it's always something like this is like everything's a little bit twisted just so I can tell that it's all in motion, you know. So mine usually tends to be an action pose like this. I have no idea what yours is. If you want to share it in the comments below, feel free to do so. But no, testing out the articulation is fine, but we all eventually do that one pose that we like, that we want to see if this toy can do. I didn't even realize I was doing it. I just kind of noticed it the other day. Now, here's one that's not as universal, but I find a lot of people do this still. Do you do the dangle test? Do you do the dangle test where you like take a figure and just like wiggle it, like hold it by its torso and then wiggle it left and right just to see if the legs are actually stiff enough to do whatever you want them to do? See, for me personally, I don't mind the arms being a little bit loose because as long as they hold a pose, okay, that's fine. But the legs have to be stiff. Like, they have to be able to hold a toy up no matter what I'm doing with it. So the dangle test actually helps me out quite a bit. Like, that's the difference between great joints and just okay joints that I might have to be careful with. Just a little thing. Probably not as universal as it should be, but I think there's more out there than I'm expecting. So I'm curious about that one too. And then after you've messed with the toy for the first time, one of the universals I almost put in here was we all try to change it without the instructions and then only consult them when we get stuck. That's the other one I try these days, but I figure there's probably a lot of people out there who are careful with it, so I didn't put that one on. But the one that I will put on in there is the spot. Every single one of us has a spot that new toy goes. Now, between getting it out of the packaging and putting it away forever, you know, whether that's on a shelf or in a bin, whatever it's going to be, there is that in-between stage where you're done playing with it for the first time and then it goes to the spot. And the spot is usually on your desk somewhere where it's not going to get in the way of anything you normally do on the desk, but it's right there in case I want to pick the toy up and mess with it, or in case a friend wants to hear something about it, or I see something on social media going, oh, you can do that with it? Okay, let me try it. And maybe I'll get a chance, maybe I'll get just the temptation or like the urge to mess with it again. I'll just pick it up, goof with it for a little bit longer, put it back in the spot. You know, and eventually it will move from the spot as other new toys come in, and the spot will go to the new hot toy, you know, and then that's when it begins its process into wherever its permanent home is going to be. But we all have that spot Maybe it's a desk, maybe it's a table, maybe it's a nightstand. You know, whatever it is for you, you have that spot where the brand new toy goes until it is no longer a brand new toy. So that's the other universal I find. And that's pretty much your entire experience of any brand new toy. And we all kind of share in a lot of these experiences. And it's one of those things that really kind of brings us together a little bit as Transformer fans. You know, things that are unique to us and things that are not so unique. I know a lot of action figure lines and collectors that would apply to a lot of this too. I'm sure a lot of people want to see what poses their Marvel Legends can do right out of the box first thing. Obviously, they don't have to worry about transforming them, but, you know, not every toy can be perfect. So, that's just a quick list. There's plenty more, but let me know in the comment section below, what is a universal experience? What is something that you find a lot of Transformer collectors tend to do? And don't tell me something like complain about Earthspark, because let's try to keep it to more positive stuff, okay? But that's it for me today. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.